All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to be here with you and have this conversation and be able to answer all the questions you have and really get this conversation going today. One of the new features we are offering on this call is going to be that we have started using the platform called Wordly. This is a live translation service. So I'm going to have Kale go ahead and put the link to that for you in the chat box. He's going to continue to be putting that in the chat box for any people who enter the meeting a little later. But that translates in 16 different languages. In the top right-hand corner of the screen, you will be able to see all of the different languages you can translate this call into. Another great feature about this platform is that if you would like to be able to be part of the conversation and instead of reading the translation, be able to hear it in real time, there's also a little microphone speaker. It looks like a speaker next to all the languages. If you click that, you should be able to hear the translation in real time in your language of choice. So very happy to have that. And we hope that you find this helpful in addition to the transcription that you should be able to see at the bottom of your screen, if that is helpful. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Raquel Ward. I have probably met with or emailed with most of you, but for those of you I haven't met, I am the Director of Global Accreditation. I also have on the call with me here today, who will be partnering with me in answering questions, Maria Lester. Maria Lester is the manager of CCE Global Accreditation, and we are both just so pleased to be here with you today and answer all your questions, give you additional feedback. A couple of housekeeping notes. If you could please keep your microphone on mute unless you are speaking, that's really helpful for us to make sure that the translation is happening appropriately, as well as everyone can hear the questions and answers we're able to provide today. If you have any questions that are specific to your current accreditation or program, please know that myself, Maria, and Alyssa Johns, one of our other accreditation coordinators, will be connecting with all of our accredited providers over the next 4 to 8 to 12 weeks. There are 2,700 accredited programs currently. So really proud of the work we're doing. Grateful to all of you for partnering with us in accreditation, and please be patient with us. We are working on scheduling these meetings as well as replying to all of your emails and support tickets as timely as we can, and are just really looking forward to partnering with you throughout 2022 to make this transition and help your organizations individually recognize what needs to happen to make these transitions happen smoothly for your organizations, for your participants, for your faculty, administration, really everyone involved. So we are very grateful for you, looking forward to partnering with you in 2022. And I would love to now open the floor up to any questions. The easiest way that we typically can do this is if you want to use the raise your hand feature on Zoom or raise your hand. We will be looking for your questions and are really excited to talk with you today. Leah Grant, I see your hand raised. Would you like to join us and ask your question?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you way early this morning. It's 6 a.m. here. So I'm actually the director of training for 2 schools. So I've got a couple questions because I went through everything that you had on the website already. So if a school has a level 1 program that's modular and it adds to their level 2 program, is that allowed, or do they have to be 2 completely separate curriculums?
That's a great question, Leah. So They do not have to be two completely separate curriculums. The way we've seen this structured in the past, and will also be the way you can structure it with a level 2 accreditation, is currently if you have an ACTP accreditation, a lot of the times the ACSTH portion is pulled out of the curriculum from your ACTP. With the leveled system, you can do the same exact thing. So you have your level 2 accreditation, formerly ACTP, and you can pull out the beginning 60 or 60 plus hours that you consider more of the ACC curriculum, and you can deliver that. Now, what will be different is that in our updated accreditation structure is that you will submit a level 1 add-on accreditation application so that we have a record of all of the curriculum that is being delivered at the ACC level on ICF's coaching education files. So we do know what your participants are learning. And it will also verify that you will still complete all of the structural pieces of the level 1 accreditation. So that would be the 5 observed coaching sessions with written feedback for 3. That would be the 10 hours of mentor coaching. And that would be the final performance evaluation where your participants are coaching out at the ACC level to receive that level 1 certificate.
Okay, great. So that actually brings me to another question. You have the 5 observed sessions, and in the mentor coaching sessions must be observed by an ACC at level 1 who's in the program basically for 4 years, right? They've renewed once, but the teachers don't have to be at that level. So can they be doing the observed sessions if they're only in their first 3 years of their ACC?
Absolutely. And that's a great point to review as well. And I'd be happy to review the faculty requirements for the level 1. So any faculty member who is teaching or facilitating the student contact hours that are based in the core competencies can be an ACC, whether they were just credentialed, last week, or they've been an ACC for 10 years, a PCC, or an MCC. That's the same for the observed coaching sessions, an ACC at any level, a PCC, or an MCC. For mentor coaching, you are right that with the level 1, it must be an ACC that has been through 1 renewal cycle, meaning that they've gained additional mentor hours too in their coaching journey, a PCC or an MCC. Now, for the final performance evaluation and the director of education, both of those roles must be filled by a PCC or an MCC credential holder.
Okay, and that actually brings up another. What is considered a formal testing environment?
Sure, that's a great question. So formal testing environment is, and maybe we should update the language to be more clear, but it's a formal coaching session where your participants are engaging with a client through a full formal coaching session that's anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes long, where a formal coaching session where they are coaching at the ACC level.
Okay, does that need to be done live, or can they submit a recording for that?
It can be done either. It can be live or recorded.
Okay, gotcha. And then if a school is offering both competency-based training and other training, like a marketing course or things like that, but you're accrediting the whole school as a ICF certified school, how does that work?
So it's going to be the same requirement that currently or previously existed with ACSTH and ACTP accreditations. 80% of the curriculum must be based in the core competencies, and then up to 20% of the curriculum can be in what we call resource development. So marketing, professional development, behavioral assessments or tools, anything that's really outside of the coaching competencies and how to apply something in a coaching session.
Okay, so this is actually a totally separate course. So like, for example, we offer, one of the schools I work for offers what's called LEAP, and it's a separate marketing program. It's not considered an accredited course because we haven't ever submitted it to you all. There's no core competency covered, and it's completely paid for separate from the ICF level trainings. Can we still offer those types of courses?
Absolutely. You would just want to be clear in your marketing to participants which program falls under the ICF Level 1, Level 2, or CCE accreditation.
There you are right away.
Yeah, I'm free right now.
Okay, well, I had to call 911 today for Fran.
If I could remind everyone to put themselves on mute, please, that would be wonderful.
I'll just further clarify, Leah, that the accreditation of the organization doesn't give a blanket accreditation for all of their programs. It just means that we are requiring additional standards that the organization meets in order for them to be level 1, level 2, or level 3. So maybe the organization accreditation is being misunderstood and that it's not a blanket accreditation for all of your programs. Each individual program would need to meet the requirements in order to be an ICF accredited program.
Okay, so you still submit each program individually as you're wanting to get it approved?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think that was, the last question that I had was, what is considered a full coaching session in terms of the observed sessions? I know that it used to be demonstrating at least one competency skill. Is it now actually going through and establishing the agreement, doing the coaching and completing the session? Or is it still just that one competency skill that needs to be reviewed?
So I think that depends on the student and the length of the observed coaching session. Their ICF Coaching Education does not have a time requirement on the length of the observed coaching session. We just require that it should be long enough to be able to observe portions of a coaching session. So if it works best for your organization to break it down by competency, I think that's totally fine. If you want to group certain competencies together, we do leave that up to the discretion of the organization.
Okay, so it would still be considered an observed session. Like we usually do something to show them how to create the agreement. So, and we observe each student making sure that they know how to establish a full agreement, topic, outcome measurement, all of those pieces of it. So that could count as one observed session, even if they don't continue into the coaching of that client after they set the agreement.
Correct. You could do that. And that is different than the final performance agreement, which would be the final performance evaluation, which would be a full coaching session.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I thank you so much for answering all of my questions.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your questions. I see Tamor, I think I saw your hand up next. We'd love to have you join us and ask your question.
Fabulous. Hi, everyone. Thank you for yet another opportunity to kind of interact and understand this a bit more. Raquel, my question starts at this level where in our organization we run what ICF is calling level 1, level 2, level 3, and CCE, and we do parts of each. If all of them were like 300 hours, these are segmented into various level 1, 2, 3, and then CCEs. So what we have is some bridging scenarios. So for example, we may have a 60-hour course that doesn't have group mentoring or evaluation, and whoever comes along there will get a certificate for those hours. And then if they want to come and add extra to get to level 1, we call that bridge. Or there may even be a group of managers who come to a 40-hour course that we've got organized. And they may later on want to come and join the level 1. And then we would do another bridge for them. I want to just understand if that's still okay, because that's how we've been functioning before, and how those certifications and standards, if you like, would be managed there. That would be my first question.
Perfect. Thank you for your question, Tamor. And I think that's a pretty frequent question right now. We are still finalizing the certificate guidelines for all of the leveled and CCE accreditations. However, if you have participants who want to enter, say, like you said, your level 1 program for 60 hours, but they're not ready to complete all of the level 1 requirements, you would still issue them a certificate of completion from your organization. However, you wouldn't issue them a level 1 certificate because they didn't meet all of the requirements. So we're working on some really specific guidelines to be able to provide our accredited providers as you transition to these leveled accreditations. Just from what we've been discussing, I think it would be pretty similar to ACSTH and ACTP certificate guidelines, where you would say, Raquel Ward completed a portion of the level 1 accreditation, completing 60 student contact hours. And you would issue that certificate to any participants who met certain hour requirements, but not all of the accreditation requirements. And then should that participant come back to you at a later date and want to finish all of the requirements of that leveled certificate or that leveled accreditation wherever they are in their coaching journey, you would then be able to reissue them a certificate of completion once they met all of the standards of that said program and that accreditation level.
That's great. And Raquel, would we be able to put the ICF logo on the certificate that says they have completed part of the level 1 program?
At this time, I believe the answer will be no. Now, the ICF global logo should not be used on certificates ever. It should just be the accreditation logos that are being used on participants' certificates of completion. The ICF global logo is for members, so it should not be affiliated with an accredited program.
I agree. I was wondering whether we can actually have the ICF level 1 logo on that certificate that says this is so many hours of as part of the level 1. Or are you saying that there's no ICF logo on that certificate at all?
That's a really good question that I'm not sure I have an answer for at this time, because we haven't finalized the certificate guidelines. Some of the conversations we've had and the hesitation we have around putting that accreditation logo on certificates if a student did not, or a participant did not complete all of the requirements, is that it can be confusing for credentials and standards to then be able to disseminate when someone is applying for a credential if they completed all of the requirements or just some of them. So I don't have an answer for you now, but I hope to in the next 4 to 8 weeks when we finalize those certificate guidelines. And those guidelines will be issued with your accreditation transition approval. So when you transition from your ACTP and ACSTH to the level 2 and level 1 accreditations, we will have that all finalized and can continue the discussion at that time.
Okay, fabulous. And Raquel, with regards to these new standards, the 7 standards we have, the parts that are relatively, well, that are new, that are added, are there some guidelines that either ICF has sent or will send to give us some idea of what sort of information that you would want for us to put into the application?
Absolutely. So we are working on creating sample documents for all of the updated policies and procedures, so that if your organization does not currently have that policy, you can look at what a sample of that policy would look like and then create the guidelines for your specific organization around what that policy should look like for your organization. But those policy documents are currently being developed, and again, I expect we should have those in the next, upcoming months, so relatively soon.
Okay.
I'll just interject too that the upcoming community will be a great way that training providers can share resources with each other. So
right.
And share their samples, and here's what we do, and you'll be able to share with each other.
Great. Thanks, Maria.
That's a great point, Maria. In the community that will be launching At this point, we believe it will be launching in early March. There will be a resource library where you'll be able to access different ICF resources, different resources that your colleagues and peers that are also accredited providers have identified as being helpful, whether it's research or papers, books, discussion boards. So there will be a very large space that we're really excited to launch very soon for all of you to be able to come together and connect and collaborate on best and leading practices and what's working for your organization, where you could use additional support. And we're really, really excited to launch this global community that this global knowledge community that will provide tremendous resources to all of our accredited providers and the coaching community in general.
Great, thank you. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tamor. All right, Sherry, I see your hand up.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Good morning from Chicago. It's good to be here. I'm curious, for the students that will be starting this year, but their program ends next year, what are the parameters around the qualifications for the ICF level 1, 2, and 3?
I think that depends on when you implement the updated requirements. So for a level 2, formerly ACTP, all of the structural requirements are the same. So so that credentialing path will look the same. It will just be a matter of if you have applied and transitioned to a level 2. For level 1 and ACSTH accreditations, it will really depend on if the students that are in the participants that are in that that specific program now, if they have completed all of the level 1 requirements, or if they have not received the mentor coaching and final performance evaluation. Because we have a compliance period extended until December 31st, 2022, we're really going to have to look at the organizations and partner with those organizations specifically that apply later in 2022, because we will have to process the applications and review all of the updated requirements and standards. And so there could be an amount of time where if your students graduate in early 2023, but you haven't moved to a level 1 accreditation, you would issue them a certificate of completion at what they completed. But if they completed the leveled requirements, so we will still retroactively allow you to approve that first cohort that completed all of the level 1 requirements that you submitted for accreditation purposes.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
I'm trying to have it make sense.
Okay.
So if our program right now does not include, encapsulate the mentor coaching, and they receive that in the new year, but it's not, they started a program where it's not absolute inside the program, but it's an offering that's kind of an additional, right? Can they still certify at the level 1? I mean, it would be up to them to still get their mentor coaching hours, or they wouldn't be able, I mean, just like today, like They can get their mentor coaching hours anywhere.
Yes.
Right.
So if they completed the ACSTH portion of your accreditation and wanted to come back and complete the 10 mentor coaching hours and then the final performance evaluation, and they were coaching out at the ACC level, then yes, you would be able to issue them a level 1 certificate of completion.
Okay. So only if we provide the mentor coaching to them.
Or if you if they receive mentor coaching somewhere else and you verify that their mentor coach is a qualified mentor coach, then you could substitute in that offering. If they wanted to go get mentor coaching somewhere else, then yes, they could do that. But you would have to verify who their mentor coach was, that they did hold the appropriate credential level, and then verify with that mentor coach that student and participant actually did complete the 10 hours of mentor coaching over 3 months, up to 7 group sessions, mandatory 3 individual sessions. If you can verify all of that and they do the final performance evaluation at an ACC level, then yes, you could issue them a level 1 certificate.
Okay, but it would be our responsibility to determine or to verify that they got their mentor coaching hours. And
It would, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to confirm that they completed all of the level 1 requirements to issue them that certificate of completion.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this might be something where it would be good for us to connect when we connect on an individual basis to really look at the specifics for your organization and what makes the most sense in this transition and how we can support you in that transition.
Great. Thank you so much, Raquel.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Sherry. Thank you for your question. All right. I see Ruth has her hand up. Ruth, would you like to join us?
Sure. Well, good morning, Raquel. I so appreciate this opportunity. So I have two questions. One is we're an ACTP program. And in the past, when graduates have completed their certification, and we've offered that they could come back and retake a class, just like a lab, a competency lab or an ethics lab, for continuing education. And now I'm thinking I'm reading this wrong, is that, do we have to outside reapply for continuing education since we're already an ACTP provider?
I'm happy to answer that question.
Oh,
So
good.
if you want that course to show as a standalone CCE course, you would need to pay the fee and apply for it to be a CCE course. If they take a portion of your leveled accreditation course, as Raquel was mentioning earlier, you could give them the hours on your own certificate, but it would not be part of, it wouldn't have a CCE logo on it. Is that correct, Raquel?
Well, so does that matter if they're like, they're getting ready, if they're a graduate from level 1 and they're, they take the PCC, I get that. They already have the 168 credits by going through level 1. But say they're getting ready, they want to take some courses to accrue all continuing education hours, and they just come back to take our ethics class or a competency lab, then you're saying that we have to reapply for continuing education, but we already have continuing education in our program.
If you want to issue them a CCE, a continuing coaching education certificate of completion, then yes, you would need to apply for a CCE accreditation separate from the level 2. If you have people that come and take a portion of your program, you can issue your level 2 program. You could issue them a certificate of completion for a portion of your level 2 accreditation. However, if the learning is specific to continuing education, we would recommend that you have that CCE accreditation, because that's specifically what CCE accreditation is for.
So we'd have to pay it. So we just got done paying $3,500 for our ACTP review. So we'd have to pay another $3,000 for continuing education, is what you're saying?
I would have to look at how many programs you wanted accredited under CCE, and this might be a conversation that you and I or Maria and you would want to have to look at how many different electives you provide as a CCE accreditation. But yes, if you want to offer CCE credits and continuing education, that should be a separate accreditation outside of the ACTP or level 2, moving to level 2.
So I have two more questions. One is, you mentioned policies. We're highly governed by the state of Minnesota because we're licensed through Minnesota Office of Higher Education. So we have to meet policies and standards and statutes that really adhere to their language and the wording that they use and however we advertise or anything. So how is that might bump up against what policies you're requiring?
So one of the important things to remember in this shift to accrediting the organization is that one of our main priorities is also for you to be compliant in the state or country that you're working in and you're delivering education in. So we would be able to work with you on more of a one-on-one basis to make sure the requirements that we're asking are not in direct conflict with a state requirement that you have to meet as an organization.
Oh, that's good, Raquel. And then the last one is on recordings in the past for our final review, where you're reviewing us as providers rather than the individuals, but we have to turn in a recording of two of our students coaching someone else. In the past, we've always attached our evaluation with it, and now we were told that you no longer submit our evaluation, just the recording. That didn't make any sense because I thought you were evaluating us. And so we ended up resubmitting our recording with just a transcript without our feedback.
Okay. So I know for observed, you should be submitting your written feedback that you provide as well. We do want an example of that, and I can connect with the accreditation.
Well, yeah, it was Alicia told us not to submit our feedback, so we took it back and we resubmitted our recording, and it didn't make any sense to us because I thought you were evaluating us as providing feedback to our students for the final one.
Yeah, we're evaluating both. So what we're looking for is, because students and participants who complete a level at this, moving forward, a level 1, level 2, or an ACTP program in the past, with the ACTP credentialing path, you don't have to submit a recording of the final performance because it's done within the program. But yes, we should be asking for written feedback as well. So let me get with my team, because we want to, the whole purpose of the process is to ensure that you are, that your students are graduating at the level that they're applying for in credentialing.
Submit it again. This would be
nope. Let me connect with you separately, Ruth. I'll make a note to reach out to you.
Thank you so much. In fact, I'll connect with it's probably better to connect with Jenny Antelek.
Okay.
Because she's the one who submitted everything, but that's what happened. And I think it was
just to clarify for others who may have the same question, though, the recording that you submit should only be the coaching session, because it will be sent to assessors who will assess it the same way they are assessing others who have sent in their recordings. It should not include any feedback on the recording at all.
The recording did not have any feedback. What we provided was what we provided with the transcript. We put the feedback alongside of each of the areas of the transcript so they could see what kind of feedback we provide.
It should not be on the transcript either, because the transcript will be used by the assessor. So they will.
So all we need to do then is resubmit our thoughts on the feedback rather than not having we submitted it correctly according to what you're saying. So, but so we need to turn in a sheet 2 with just our thoughts on the whole thing on related to competencies, or what do you want?
Well, I'd have to look at your renewal application, Ruth. So it might be good for Jenny and I to connect.
Okay.
And then we can take a look at what was submitted and make sure that everything is compliant and help you specifically there.
Okay. Thanks, Raquel.
Absolutely. So happy to. Thank you for joining us, Ruth.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So next I think I see, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Is it Saren or Saren?
It's Jiran, but that's okay. I'm just so got used to it. So I have a couple of questions, but before that, hi everybody. It's great to meet you via Zoom at least. And thank you for your understanding in advance for my English. So here is going for the bazillion questions. Number 1, I have an academy who's giving ACTP certificates. And we also can sell our modules one by one. I think at level 2, we cannot sell them one by one and giving CCE certificates for the participants. Am I right?
That is correct. We will no longer be allowing organizations to issue accreditation certificates outside of the accreditations that they hold. So we can work with your organization to see if it's because a really good example that I get a lot is we have accredited providers who deliver a portion of their program to, managers and executives on coaching skills. But those people might not necessarily ever plan on applying for an ICF credential. So they don't need to meet all of the accreditation requirements there. You will still be able to issue them a certificate of completion for the accredited contact hours they completed, but it won't be a CCE certificate. And then on the other side of that, if you're offering continuing coaching education and you've built that into your ACTP moving to a level 2 accreditation hours, if you are truly looking to offer continuing education, then you would want to apply for a CCE accreditation separately.
Is it possible to apply for a CCE for any modules we have? Even inside the ACTP package?
Maria, I'll let you answer this if you want, because I know CCE is your area of expertise.
And I am sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is it possible for me to sell my modules as CCEs if I apply for CCEs for all of them?
Yes, absolutely. You can apply for any training that you do through the CCE application process. It will be reviewed as a separate program and awarded various core and resource hours. And once you have it accredited, you can deliver it. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Is it even possible to give CCEs because I'm seeing in other academies, that's why I'm asking, is it possible to give CCEs for NLP educations, emotional intelligence?
So yes, that's actually the very purpose of CCEs is for advanced training or tools or resources that are helpful to coaches. It is important to note that at least 1 hour of the curriculum does need to be coach specific and related to core competencies. It's best if you are teaching the tool, which is resource information, but then you're also showing how that tool helps a coach with one or more of their core coaching skills. Then that's kind of a split of core and resource, but absolutely, that's the very best space for tools like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And last question, is it a level 2 academy or participant can apply for ACC?
Yes. Anyone who completes a level 2 program would be able to apply for the ACC once they have reached 100 hours of experience, and would also be able to use that same level 2 training to apply for the PCC once they have 500 hours of experience.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. And the one thing I would like to add regarding CCEs, as you're modularizing different parts of your level 2 accreditation that also could serve as a CCE accreditation, it's very important to remember that there is a cap on CCE accreditation hours now. So when you modularize them, they would need to be in 40 hours or less.
Yeah. And last question. If I can sell all my modules one by one, is it possible for me to give, let's imagine 4 modules for 15 CCEs, plus mentorship, plus observed sessions, plus final session, all sold one by one, and give ASTH, whatever, the level 1 certificate, even though I'm not applied for it?
No, if you want to offer a level 1 certificate, then you would need to apply for a level 1 accreditation. I think one thing that that we really want to remember as well is that CCE, continuing coach education, really should not be used as foundational or original education to a coach that does not have prior training. It's continuing education for a coach that has already started their coaching journey, has been exposed to the core competencies, and has been coaching. So the CCEs really should be that continuing education, not the original or initial training.
So let me change my question like that. Imagine a level 1 graduate that takes CCEs from my academy, and is it possible for them to graduate as ACTPs? So I'm going to count the other academies level 1 education as a basic education, then add more CCs for them to graduate for ACTP?
They wouldn't be CCEs you were offering to offer the level 2 accreditation. So but you can transfer in ICF accredited hours. So if, and this might be really, I think, some of these questions, it might be helpful when we meet one-on-one to be able to look at all the different options for your organization, which is one of the reasons we really do want to meet individually. But to offer, a certificate of completion at any level, you must have that level of accreditation approved by ICF Coaching Education. Now, when you talk about transferring in hours, if you have a level 2 accreditation and you choose to, you can transfer in level 1 accreditations from a different organization and have them complete the later part of your accredited program to do the PCC level and allow their initial 60 hours, as long as it's an ICF level 1 or ACSTH. You cannot transfer in CCE hours to a level 2 accreditation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. And Dr. Avni, I see your hand raised.
Yeah. Good evening from Israel. First of all, to congratulate you for being so efficient in the correspondence. When you speak about personally meeting, do you mean a Zoom session or meeting with you?
Correct. So we will be reaching out over the next several weeks. You're welcome to reach out to us first, and we will accommodate a meeting as soon as we are available on our schedule. But yes, it will be an individual Zoom meeting with myself, Alyssa, or Maria.
Amazing. Last question. We are having now an ACSTH, and we want to move into the level 2 ACTP. Can we summarize the formula? Because there are all kinds of patches that are here. People are trying to do. I want to know the formal formula to move from level 1 to level 2.
Absolutely. So there will be, similar to how you used to be able to move from an ACSTH to an ACTP through an upgrade application, we will have a similar process. At this time, we are anticipating all of the transition applications, including the upgrade application, will be available on February 15th. We're also creating a checklist, which is what we can work with you on an individual basis on, where we will send you what requirements you currently meet based on your specific accreditation, and what we will need to have submitted to make that transition. And so,
shall we be patient enough to wait for the middle of February to get your final definitions and then start?
Yes, I would. If you have a current cohort, I think that you can start, including that including all of the structural requirements into the curriculum, like the mentor coaching, the observed coaching sessions, which you already have, but you'll need one more when you transition to a level 2 accreditation. As long as that's built into your curriculum now, then we'll be able to work with you mid-February moving forward on actually putting the application together with the additional requirements.
Amazing. Appreciate your responses. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. And then I know we have several hands up, and we have about 14 minutes left, so I'm going to try and answer as many questions as we can. But again, we will be reaching out to anyone that we can't get to in this call to make sure we're able to answer your questions either through email or if you'd like to schedule a separate Zoom session. Will Linson, I know your hand's been raised for a moment. Would you like to join us?
Yes, my hand is already hurting. So first off, thanks for all the great work. And I think you guys up for sainthood by the end of the year after going through all these great help that you're extending to everybody. Two quick questions. How does one get from level 1 to ACC to PCC? In the past, there was the bridge. Now you have level 1, level 2. How is that going to work?
So it can work by essentially the same way, very similar to the way it works now. And this is kind of what I was talking about just a moment ago, or hinting at just a moment ago, with if you have a level 2 accreditation and a potential participant comes to your organization and says, I'm an ACC, or I attended a level 1 accredited program, or an ICF, ACSTH, or level 1 program, and I would like to come into your level 2 program to complete the PCC requirements, you could transfer in those hours. And that's one of the policies that we're asking for in this transition, is that you have a transfer in policy of credits. Now, that policy can also be, we don't allow transfer in credits. We don't allow transfer in students. So if a student wanted to complete our level 2 accreditation, they would have to start from the beginning and come the whole way through. That's going to be up to the organization, whether you allow, level 1 or ACSTH past participants to transfer those initial 60 plus hours in, or if you want them to complete your level 2 accreditation from the beginning.
Okay, clear. Yeah. Then most of our accreditations are expiring by the end of February. And with now all the new rules and February 15, the rest of the rules coming, obviously that's not going to work to hand in all that stuff within a few days. Is there an extension system possible? Or grace
Absolutely.
period or whatever?
We'll be able to work with you on that. Now, and this would be specific to your organization, so we might want to schedule some time to meet, Will.
Sure.
But when you say your accreditations are ending at the end of February, are you speaking about your CCE accreditation?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that application is already available. And so I think it might be probably a good idea to set something up with Maria in the upcoming weeks. And we will absolutely be able to work with you individually to make sure that you don't lose your accreditation status.
Cool. All right. Thank you for your help.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Raquel.
Absolutely. And then I see Sandra. Sandra, would you like to join us?
Hi, good morning. I am from Argentina, and I don't know if I understood okay, but the school that has the program accreditation, ACTH or ACTP, is the one who has to give the students the evaluation performance that it's known as CKA nowadays.
So the final performance evaluation and the CKA are actually two separate exams. The final performance evaluation will take place within the accredited program, where at the end of the accreditation course, what you will be doing is it's a final coaching session where that participant is coaching out at the level of the accreditation. So if it's a level 1, your final performance evaluator will observe either a live or recorded coaching session of the participant, and at the level 1, they must coach out at an ACC level. At a level 2, they'll have to coach out at a PCC level. The CKA takes place, and this is more of a credentialing question, so I don't have all of the answers about the CKA, but that will take place in the credentialing process. So when your graduates, if they complete the accredited program at an ACC or a PCC level, they would then apply through that level path for their ACC or PCC credential. And then once their certificate of completion was verified and their client coaching experience was verified, then the credentials, the ICF credentials and standards team would issue them instructions on how to take the CKA, which is a written exam that is proctored by an organization with the ICF.
Okay, so the performance evaluation, the final performance evaluation is the one we have been taking all these years, the conversation, and that's it.
Yes, that should be what you're conducting within the program, and that is what takes place of any future credentialing applicants from your accredited program having to submit a recording to the ICF to be assessed.
Okay, thank you. That's my question for now.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your question, and I appreciate you joining us from Argentina, Sandra.
Yes, thank you.
Susan Lawley, I see your hand up. I'd love to have you join us.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. And thank you for hosting this. It's really helpful to be together and hear what's happening. I have two quick questions. First to Raquel, you have been mentioning mentor sessions versus mentor hours. And I just want to know, we've been operating with the idea that there are 10 mentor hours. The number of sessions really depends on how large the small group is. Is it a duo? Is it a trio? Is it a quad? So is there a specified number of sessions that must be had in the mentor coaching?
No, and that's my mistake. My apologies. I think it's because I go back and forth from the observed coaching
Right.
sessions to mentor hours. So
Okay.
yes, there's a required 10 mentor hours,
Yeah.
but how your organization breaks that up into sessions can be left to your discretion.
Okay. And then part of that question was also, can you distinguish what's an observed hour versus a mentor hour? Is it the in-class training is an observed session, or I'm not sure of the difference between those two?
So the way that it makes the most sense to me is the observed coaching session is essentially, it's a practice coaching session where your participants are able to, whether it's in a one-on-one situation scenario, or you set them up into triads where they're practicing what they've learned in class, coaching their coaching skills on each other.
Yeah.
The mentor hours are specifically where the mentor coach is providing feedback on the participants' coaching skills to help them develop their coaching skills. So the mentor coaching is all feedback and kind of that mentoring between the mentor coach and the participant, where the observed coaching session is meant to be more a practice coaching session between with the participants. And then that's why we require the written feedback for 3 in a level 1 or 4 in a level 2, is because if they're getting this practice, it's also very helpful for them to be able to receive that written feedback on their coaching skills as well.
So we over-deliver that because the mentor coaches are in everything and we give written feedback on all of it. So that's good to know. My other question was from Maria. We have a CCE program already, but we want to start another one. And we want to do it now because our participants are saying, we've learned a lot, we want to go deeper, we want to do more. So how do we get that to happen now?
So the easy answer is you can just apply for the program through the CCE application process. As long as the segment of training is 40 hours or less, and as long as it includes some coach-specific content, you can submit it. In fact, through the CCE process, if you have a cohort that has already done that training, you can even request a backdated start for your approval year. So if you delivered this in November and you want us to go back to November, we're happy to do that as well. So just go to the updated CCE application page and choose apply now and purchase the hours and submit the application that gets emailed to you after the purchase. We'll be glad to review it.
Great. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you, Susan. Liz Amen, I see your hands raised.
Thank you. I have a few questions and I hope not repetitive. One is, can written feedback on the performance evaluation count as one of the written feedbacks of an observed session? Does that make sense?
You're asking if, can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes. So for the written feedback students need to receive from observed coaching sessions, can the written feedback on the final performance evaluation count as one of those?
No, the observed coaching sessions should be separate from the final performance evaluation.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure. And then could you specify the differences between level 1 and 2? In looking through the material on the website, I only found a couple of differences and they seemed fairly small, but I'm not sure. So if you could clarify the distinctions, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So the level 1 accreditation is a direct pathway to the ACC credential. So that would require a minimum of 60 hours of coach specific education. It would require then also within the accreditation requirements, the 5 observed coaching sessions with written feedback for 3. It would include 10 hours of mentor coaching at the ACC level and a final performance evaluation of a formal coaching session of the participant where they're coaching out at the ACC level. For the level 2 accreditation, that's a direct pathway to the PCC credential. So it would be 125 contact hours, a minimum of 125 contact hours, 6 observed coaching sessions with written feedback for 4, 10 hours of mentor coaching at the PCC level, and a final performance evaluation where the participant is coaching at a PCC level.
Thanks so very much for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Liz. And then I think we have time for one more question. We will be going through the Q&A as well to make sure that we're able to pull some of the most common questions and then also be able to create kind of an FAQ document. Christina, I see your hand is up. Would you like to join us?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I was exchanging with your colleague just in the fact of, I thought we go on the rounds and it feels like left behind. 2 very, very fast questions. One is just to make sure that I get this right. We have right now an ACTP approved. Does it mean that we need to go and apply for level 1 separately and level 2 separately?
So you will transition your ACTP to a level 2 accreditation. If you would also like to offer a level 1 accreditation, you would apply for an add-on accreditation where you're submitting the curriculum, but it's an abbreviated application process. So you don't have to apply for 2 full separate accreditations. It would be the level 2 and an add-on level 1.
Add-on level 1. We have also an ACHTH right now, which would be kind of like the level 1. So is it easier for you to translate that one into a level 1, or we just do this add-on?
Is your current ACSTH part of your ACTP curriculum?
Yes.
Then you would want to do the transition to the level 2 and add on a level 1.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. The other question that I got for a future participant today was, if the course starts and after the course started, we actually are recognized as level 1, how do they finish the course? What do they get at the end of the course? A level 1 certificate or a ACHTH certificate? Does that mean that we evaluate them internally for ACC, or they still go through the application process with ICF?
It depends on what they complete with your organization. If you would like to build in the mentor coaching and final performance evaluation for the current ACSTH, then after you submit that add-on application and we're able to review it, then you would be able to then go back and issue them a level 1 accreditation certificate of completion for anyone that completed all of those requirements.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's what we have already, MentorCon. Thank you, thank you. That's all.
You're very welcome. And we are at 10 a.m. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. I am writing down, or I will have my team write down everyone's name who we were not able to get to. I apologize if you feel like your hand was up and you were not called in turn. I just have 4 screens at the top of mine, and I'm trying to monitor as well on the side as the hands are coming up. So I apologize for everyone we weren't able to get to. We will be holding these calls on the 3rd Tuesday of every month. So these will be happening monthly. They will be at 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. So our next call would be scheduled for February 22nd. We will be sending out invitations for that. And again, if you would like to put your name in the chat, if I didn't get to your hand, I also have my team writing down your names as we go. We will reach out to you individually to make sure we're able to answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate this time together and all you are doing for the future coaches of the world. And we hope you'll join us again soon. Look forward to meeting with you on an individual basis very soon as well.
Thanks, Raquel. Great job. Great job. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.